if Death Battle had gotten Goku versus Superman right the first time, they wouldn't have had to remake it twice. And they wouldn't have to keep justifying their completely wrong opinion that Superman could beat Goku. Oh, he can hold a book with infinite pages. That clearly makes him stronger. Clearly, these people have no idea what the scale of Dragon Ball actually is. Clearly, they have no respect for it. Clearly, they have no idea that minor characters in Dragon Ball could wreck Superman, right? It is like, it's not even really debatable. Okay, superhero comics, DC and Marvel, are so wildly inconsistent when it comes to their characters and their powers that it is impossible to take this kind of power scaling seriously. Because Superman by design is meant to be a character that is completely unstoppable, right? But somehow he somehow struggles to handle dealing with some random billionaire and his lackeys, right? A green rock can just send him writhing on the ground, right? Superman isn't shit. And I've been saying this for a long time, all right? I don't care about that time he sneezed and blew away an entire solar system. Nobody cares. Like I said, DC Comics are so inconsistent when it comes to writer versus writer that it is impossible to take it seriously. Just by saying that like, "Oh, but Superman did this," is completely underestimating his very real weaknesses, his very real inability to adapt, and I think most importantly, his inability to grow and evolve and become stronger, right? This isn't even really Goku versus Superman, because this is like Dragon Ball versus DC in general. Yeah, I do think the Dragon Ball universe in general would wreck the DC universe. I do think Goku could beat Superman. And what's more, I don't think Goku is the only Dragon Ball character who could do it. You have characters who can do magic, right? So those characters by default wreck Superman because he has no resistance to magic, right? But what's more, and this is something that Death Battle has conveniently forgotten to cover in each and every one of their Superman versus Goku videos. Superman actually is a character in Dragon Ball. Ha! Right? Did you guys forget this? Did you not do your research? Did you not do your due diligence? Because in Doctor Slump, there is a character, this fly guy who is an alien from outer space who comes down, confronts Aurelie, and just kind of competes with her in contests of strength, right? This guy is an alien from another planet with incredible powers. The ability to fly, the ability to lift heavy weights, right? This guy is like a Superman, right? But he specifically says in the text of the manga that he used to bully Superman in school, right? He and his friends, the much more powerful characters in Dragon Ball, used to bully Superman all the time. So there you have it, right? We have an answer as to who's stronger than Goku in Dragon Ball, the Fly Guy. Now, we don't know exactly how we can scale the Fly Guy when it comes to like Dragon Ball in general, because like Aurelia is actually like a top tier character. She's stronger than Goku by the end of Super, right? Like Aurelia is like known to be insane. Right? This isn't like really debatable. Like people know this. This isn't like me pulling it out of my ass. Like Aurelia is by herself like capable of soloing like the entire DC universe, right? This isn't really a contest, but like the fact of the matter is, like, when you get right down to it, like when you actually have a character who explicitly says he used to bully Superman in school in Dr. Slump, which is canon to Dragon Ball, and then refuse to kind of acknowledge it in your Goku versus Superman video, yeah, I'm not going to take your video seriously, right? And of course, this was like, Death Battle's modus operandi in general, right? They always like pretended that characters that they favored would win. Sometimes it would be characters that they owned, like Yang versus Tifa, right? But other times it was just like shill picks, right? And I think Superman is the absolute best the epitome of that kind of mindset because nothing Superman has ever accomplished has ever come close to what Goku accomplishes, right? Superman in his entire history has never done what Goku has managed, right, in his single like comic continuity, right? Like Superman isn't shit. But one of the big things about the DC universe, Superman is a propaganda character for the American government, right? So he's not supposed to be allowed to lose, right? Like Superman and Batman are supposed to be these like pillars of morality, right? That are supposed to be like stand-ins for like the United States government, the the elite, right? They're supposed to be telling you the children of the world, like what you should do, what you should believe, how you should like default all of your problems, allow other people to fix your problems for you, right? Don't try to get the cat out of the tree yourself. Superman will do it. Don't try to like fix the bridge. Superman will do it. Don't try to like fight crime. Like Batman will do it, right? Like the reality is that superhero fiction by design is meant to make the general public feel as if they can't accomplish anything, that like you would need a Superman, that you would need a savior to help fix these problems in real life. But in reality, you don't need them. Superman is a false messiah, right? He is a joke, right? And I'm very, very tired of people, individuals like Death Battle, DC comic fans in general, not only like pretending that he's completely unstoppable, that he can't be beaten, that like he's one of the strongest characters in fiction because he's not, but like also the idea that he's actually a good person, because that is objectively not true. If Superman was actually competent, if he actually understood what he should be doing, he would be helping humanity deal with its problems themselves, right? He would not be like fixing all of our problems for us, right? Because that makes us overly dependent, that makes us weak, that makes us docile. But like that is why Superman, or admiring him or thinking he's a good person is so dangerous, right? Because it convinces you that you yourself are like a worthless human being. Like when you compare him to like the Chad Goku in comparison, Goku always inspires us to like, surpass our limits and do things that we never thought was possible, like things that like are not believed to be possible. Goku doesn't even try to be a hero, and yet he is. Like that's the thing about Goku is that like he is a more productive person in the world of Dragon Ball than Superman has ever been in his entire runtime, right? Because what does Goku do? He does everything he's supposed to, right? He starts a family, right? He raises two sons, right? He is, you know, really, really good at what he does, right? He really excels not only as a hero, the strongest man on earth, but also as like a person with like a real sense of community and like genuine lifelong friends. Like Superman has never had that. He hides from the public. He refuses to acknowledge his real identity to anyone, even those closest to him, right? Like his entire life is a lie. Like he goes around half the time pretending to be this meek, humble reporter, right? Because he can't handle the fact that that's he can't handle the fact that Superman might be needed elsewhere, right? Like he needs to kind of fake this normal persona instead of just being himself, right? Because Superman by his nature is a deceitful person, right? He is incapable of presenting himself in a way that the people of the world will understand, right? And yet he constantly seeks validation from other people. He seeks validation from Lois Lane, like he seeks validation, like he from his biological father, right? Like he is doing the things he's supposed to do, but accomplishes absolutely nothing. He never goes outside of his bubble. He never really like resolves anything long term, right? Like Superman is a complete failure. Like he is a weak individual. And to me, the fact that so many people like insist otherwise, that Superman's actually really strong, guys, like this is coming from people who just have never really accomplished much in their lives at all, right? Like we all talk about like comic book fans and how it infantilizes its audience, right? Like One More Day from Spider-Man kind of talked about this, how it's basically wish fulfillment for nerds, right? Who have never accomplished anything, never will accomplish anything. And I think most horrifyingly have no desire to accomplish anything, right? Like the comic book audience are the kind of people who just want to pretend that everything is going to be all right, that Superman is going to swoop in and save them instead of rising to whatever their life's challenges might be themselves, right? Like to me, Superman versus Goku is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen from a studio and from a YouTube channel, right? And seeing Death Battle go bankrupt, seeing Rooster Teeth go bankrupt immediately after producing Goku versus Superman 3, right? Very validating for me. I don't think they convinced anyone, honestly. The fact that they had to do this like 3 times to try and convince you that like Superman could totally win, guy, he's not gonna win. Okay, like it's not even really debatable. Okay, Superman loses by default simply because he's Superman.